Hi guys, hi ladies, and welcome. Yeah, you have to forgive the noise. My neighbours are being noisy tonight. Anyway, never mind. Shit happens. Let's turn this down. I don't know what they're doing up there. Anyway, never mind. Right, so what we're going to do tonight, guys and ladies, what we're going to do, we're going to look at the history of rock LPs. These were actually issued in the 80s, I think. See if we can find a date on one of them. Will there be a date on the record? On the label? Don't think there is, to be honest. I can't see it through that, but let's have a quick look. This compilation, 1981. Yeah, 1981. So they're from the 80s, these. And basically, before we get into them, what the hell's that? Oh, thanks for buying. Right. Just shows I didn't bother opening that, doesn't it? See what was in there? Well, I know what's in there. Just information about Elvis. Right, anyway, guys. Anyway, basically, if you're gonna buy, if you want to get into record collecting, these history of rock LPs, they do actually represent a good way into doing that. Nobody watching yet. There's nobody on in 5 minutes. I'm gonna just bloody end it, guys. Anyway, I mean, you all know about this channel now, so none of this have not been notified. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, basically, guys, there was two watching there a minute ago. Now there's nobody. We'll give it a minute. Nobody comes. We'll give it about 10 minutes. Nobody comes in. I'm just gonna. Yeah. Hello, Julie. Nice to see you in, honey. Yeah. I don't know what the attendance is gonna be like, but if it's still poor after 10 minutes, I'm just gonna go. You know, I'm just gonna end the stream, I think, because you know there's no point me just sitting here. Mind you, that being said, there's one person in. Let me just restart this, just in case there's an issue with the two waiting. Part one, yeah, that's right. Ah, we got 3 in. So why didn't you tell me that before? Stupid. Technology's great, guys, until it becomes absolutely useless. It doesn't work. At which point it becomes absolutely useless. Right, so getting back to what I was saying, guys, these the history of rock LPs. They make good buying sense. I was going to go through 20 of them tonight and 20 of them next week, but I've decided to divide it into 4 videos because it's going to take me all night to go through 20 of these. So I'm doing 10 a week. Plus I'll get an extra 2 videos out of it. And we're not going to be sat here bored shitless while I'm talking about these records. Right, so on the first, so let's go to them. Let's go to them. Right, it might look a bit dull that because the light shines on down and then onto the table. If I put my hand across there, no, see it goes a bit brighter. Anyway, the first one is Elvis Presley. Of course it would be, wouldn't it? And this has got some pretty good Elvis songs on it. It's not a double, even though it's a gatefold sleeve. A lot of them are. But even though it's gatefold, it's only a single record. And these were actually issued. The sleeve's a bit knackered. These were actually issued as as a companion guide to the history of rock magazine. So that's why these were made. Good evening, Stuart. Nice to see you, my friend. And you've got all. This is a nice LP to have because you've got all the Elvis. You know, from you've got from 1954 all the way up to 1958 on here. So you've got really all the Elvis when Elvis really was, you know, Elvis when he was at the top of his game. You know, you've got you know, that's, you know, when he was really at the top. Because I'll be honest with you guys, and I'm not going to sit here and start slagging Elvis off, because I don't do that. But because I do like Elvis, but the really good stuff he made was made between 54 and, you know, 58. You know, when you go into the 60s and the 70s, he started doing all that gospel stuff, which I don't really like. That's not really my idea. Some people do. I want a 25. I got when my mother-in-law and father-in-law passed. Yeah, well, I only had the first one for many years, and that disappeared. I lost that. That's the second. That was the first Elvis one I got. And then one night, the backstory to these. One night, a guy turned up in a car. He'd been recommended by a friend of mine who's no longer with us, sadly, my mate Steve Warby. He'd sent him here. Anyway, the guy turned up and he had these in the boot of his car. And I said to him, have you got anything else? He said, yeah. He says, I had a load of good ones. He says, but I've been somewhere else with them. I said, well, so what you done? You've come here with what you consider be rubbish, but yet you've sold all the best ones. I said, well, what do you want for them? He says, I want 40 quid. He says, I want like £1 a record. I said, well, you're not getting £1 a record. I says, for your cheek. I says, I'll give you a tenner. I said, I'll give you 10 quid for the lot. He said, could you not do 20? I said, I said, listen, mate, if you'd have brought the rest of the records that you got and let me have a look through, I said, I've got a nice big fat wallet in there. I said, I wouldn't have had a problem buying stuff from you. I said, but you've come here with what you can't get rid of. I said, so you either take 10 quid or just drive around with them in the boot of your car till you get fed up of carrying them, and then you'll end up chucking them and getting nothing for them. I said, or you'll end up dropping them off at a charity shop and getting nothing for them. I said, tonight, here, now, I said, they're worth a tenner. I said, that's what I'm giving you for them, mate. So anyway, he looked at me and, you know, he just turned around. He said, oh, go on then. So anyway, I got him out of the boot of his car and gave him a tenner. But he wanted 40 quid. Then he tried getting 20 and I got him to a tenner. If he'd come with the rest of the stuff that he had, all the nice stuff, if he'd come with all the other records he had and let me have a look through, then I might have given him £1 a record for these. I might have even given 20 quid for them, but because I thought he was a bit of an arsehole, he got 10 quid. And that's how I do it, guys. You know, if you go somewhere else, if you go somewhere else and you buy and you sell a collection to somebody and then you come back to me with the dregs, which these pretty much were, you know, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get treated like that, unfortunately. Right, what have we got on here? Very quickly, run through the track list. It's Elvis Presley. It's the first in the series. And it's Blue Moon of Kentucky, Mystery Train, Heartbreak Hotel, Don't Be Cruel, Hound Dog, All Shook Up, Playing for Keeps, Jailhouse Rock, Treat Me Nice, Wear My Ring Around Your Neck, I Beg of You, King Creole, One Night, I Got Stung, I Need Your Love Tonight, A Fool Such As I. Brilliant. And that's the Elvis Presley one. Now, if you're going to buy these records, they do represent a good value in buying. This is a double one, you can tell by the weight. Oh, I didn't show you the inside of the Elvis one, did I? I mean, basically what it does, it gives you a brief description of, you know, look at the way they're laid out, nice pictures and everything in them. It basically tells you, you know, about the artist or artists, you know, that they are discussing. We'll pop that there. We will play one in a bit. Right, Bill Haley, Little Richard, Fats Domino, Buddy Holly. Yeah. You know, you can't knock it, can you guys? You know, 4 great artists, on one record, or well, on 2 records. You know, all in the same sleeve. And all the good tracks are on these. Now, for my money, everybody says Elvis was the king of rock and roll. For my money, I think Bill Haley was, because Bill Haley invented the concept of rock and roll. Elvis Presley didn't. Bill Haley certainly did. Anyway, let's have a look at the... We're not going to look at the records. There's no need to do that. We'll look at the inside of the sleeves. That's more interesting than looking at the records. So, we can't see... I'm going to have to move the sleeve about. So there we've got Bill Haley there. You know, Bill Haley in the comics here. And there's a little bit about each of the artist or artists that are featured on the records. You got Little Richard here, Fats Domino, Buddy Holly. I'm probably not going to read all the track listings, but you get the idea of what you get. You know, these are, like I say, they represent brilliant money, brilliant value for money, these things. Bill Haley, yeah, 1954. Yeah, 1954 with Shake, Rattle and Roll. Probably the best one he ever did was Rock Around the Clock. There was a film called Rock Around the Clock, which it made in the 50s, which featured Bill Haley in the comics. It also featured a lot of other artists. The designs are what? The designs are well presented, Andy. They really are. I mean, what they've done. I'm not going to discuss. I can't read all that. I'll be here all night if I read all that. But you know, you buy the records and read them for yourself, or the comments for these will be online somewhere. But you've got 1954, Shake, Rattle and Roll, all the way to 57 with Bill Haley. With Razzle Dazzle. You've got all the good ones on here. Then you've got Little Richard. You know, you've got Little Richard. You know, he first seems to have turned up in 56. And with Rip It Up, and in 1964 he did Bama Lama Lama Do. You got Fats Domino. I do like Fats Domino, believe it or not, guys. I do like Fats Domino. I think Fats Domino was brilliant. Then of course the legend Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly didn't live anywhere near as what he was supposed to do, in my opinion. And imagine the stuff he would have made if he had still been around. Buddy Holly was becoming a big wheel in the record industry. He was around from 57 to 50. They've got 63 here, but some of these were released. A couple of these would have been released posthumously. Brown Eyed Handsome Man and Bo Diddley, they would have been released posthumously because he died in 1959. We all know that. But a very sad day for music, really. But yeah, so that's. You know, Bill Haley, Little Richard, Fats Domino and Buddy Holly. I mean, you know, admittedly you only get one side of each, with the exception of the Elvis, but you know, moving on, I've got a record. I'm going to play you a nice little record at the end of this that I got today in the post. We've got Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, Eddie Cochran and the Platters. Let's have a look at the. This is a most of these are gatefolds, so and they're double albums, most of them. Just I think they all are except the Elvis one. Right. You got Jerry Lee Lewis here. He sort of fucked up his career a little bit, didn't he? Because he married his 13-year-old cousin, which, in the state, to be honest, in the state he lived in, that was perfectly legal. There was nothing wrong with doing that. I'm not saying it's right, it ain't, but in the state he lived in, he was breaking no laws, which is wrong because he should have been, but he wasn't. But when he came over to England, he was received very, very badly, and his record at the time, High School Confidential, went from the top of the charts all the way down to the bottom of the charts and out the charts overnight because of the scandal. But he was a bloody good artist. It's a shame that he was a good artist. Yeah, who we got on here? Hey, what have you written here, Paul? Have you written an essay? Bill Haley only had one song that people remember. Elvis only had one song that other people's songs. Also sang other people. Elvis only sang other people's songs. Buddy Holly was the only one. Was the only true rock and roll singer. He wrote his own songs. Sorry, Andy. Bill Haley was pants. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. Let's go back to this because this is going to create some debate. This. So who wrote Rock Around the Clock? Well, Bill Haley didn't. Right. Was there anything on here that Bill Haley actually wrote? But we know Elvis, you know. No, nothing there really. But Buddy Holly, yes, he wrote his own stuff. Yeah, he wrote, well, Brown Eyed Handsome Man, he didn't write that. Bo Diddley, he didn't write that. He didn't write It Doesn't Matter Anymore, that was written by Paul Anka, I think. Hardin, that was Buddy Holly's real name. Not a lot of people know that, because he was... Charles Hardin was his real name. Charles Hardin Holly was his real name, I think. Anyway, yes, yeah, Elvis Presley did sing other people's songs, Buddy Holly, but I disagree with you, Paul, about Bill Haley being pants. Bill Haley was very good. You know, he was very good. I think so. But there again, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I'm not going to argue with that, Paul. You can have your opinion. Right, so getting back to this, Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee Lewis was very good, except he caused a scandal and never got over it. Carl Perkins. I don't know enough about this man to talk about him. But I know he did Blue Suede Shoes, Only Don't, Matchbox. Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. Now, some of those, Honey Don't, Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby, they were covered by the Beatles. I've never actually listened to the Carl Perkins one. Eddie Cochran, moving on to Eddie Cochran. Eddie Cochran, he came to a sticky end in London, I think it was, or it was somewhere in the UK. He was killed in a car crash in the early 60s, I think it was 1960, somewhere around that region. To save me looking it up, if anybody knows, just tell me. It's easier. That's what the chat's for you guys to join in. I hope you and Jan are okay, by the way, Paul. I forgot to mention that. Hope you're both good. And send them other things to me, we'll get them done for you. Right, so Eddie Cochran, yeah. He was about from 1959 to 1960. The latest one we've got here was 1962. but he was obviously, he was dead by then, so there was nothing more from him, was there? He was dead by then, so there was nothing else. Nothing. Let's just look it up and see if it tells us in here when he actually capitulated. I think that's the right word, isn't it? In 1930, yeah. I don't think it tells us. Oh yeah, in the early hours of, oh yeah, it does, it tells us here. Three Steps to Heaven by Showaddywaddy were more popular in Britain, where Cochrane died from injuries incurred in a car crash near Chippenham in the early hours of 17th of April 1960. We include the best of his posthumous hits, Weekend, and the Ray Charles song. Weekend is a song, actually, not, yeah. And the Ray Charles song, Hallelujah, I Love Her So. So that's what they're doing there, right. The Platters. Yeah, so yeah, I thought it was 1960 he died. Yeah, so a couple of his were released. Possibly, well, one of them, or two of them were, well, one of them were released. It could have been while he was alive, but I think they came out posthumously then. Right, well, we've got, oh no, I'm looking at the wrong one. 1962, yeah, he was gone by then, wasn't he? So, yeah. But, yeah, gone but not to be forgotten, eh, guys? Right, the Platters. They were interesting. They did some really good songs, and that guy that did the singing, he was unbelievable. Yeah, and they appeared in 1955, which was around about the same time as Buddy Holly. Not Buddy Holly, Bill Haley. And we've got 1955 to 1960 by them. Nothing more after that, but there probably was. They just didn't feel worthy of putting them on this album. And we've already looked at the inner sleeve, haven't we? The gatefold sleeve, haven't we? But weren't the artwork lovely? But as I say, guys, there's the Platters there. There's the Platters. One of them, the woman, she had really rotten teeth. If you look at her in the film Rock Around the Clock, her teeth are absolutely terrible. The Platters made some of the sweetest sounds of the 50s. They certainly did. They certainly did. You can't argue with that. Yeah. You know, but these do represent good buying sense, because you get something good from everybody in them. I mean, don't know what my neighbours are doing, but I wish they'd stop it, because they're being a bit noisy. Right, this one, Chuck Berry, Gene Vincent, Everly Brothers, Sam Cooke. Right, Chuck Berry. I don't know enough about him, actually, to speak about him, but he was good. You know, I think he was, I don't know. Well, we'll start with Gene Vincent. Is Gene Vincent the first one? No, Chuck Berry is. But they've put Gene Vincent here and Chuck Berry there. Right. I mean, the artwork in these is just unbelievably good, isn't it? I mean, you know, when you consider you're only gonna play the record, you're not gonna bother with the artwork. It's unbelievably good. And there's Chuck Berry there, and he was ripped off by the Beach Boys because they're, you know, Surfing USA, I think it was. They used his tune and never gave him credit for using his music. I think he got credited years on, but at the time he never got credited for because the Beach Boys nicked the tune to Sweet Little 16 Yeah, Sweet Little 16, the Beach Boys nicked the tune. They didn't nick the words, but they nicked the tune, and he never got credited. I think he got credited years later. Chuck Berry would also become famous. Yeah, there's Tommy getting told off. Courtney shouting, "I want you in bed now anyway." Yeah, get him in bed. Anyway, put your hand across his ass. Smack his ass. Anyway, I'm just kidding, guys. No, seriously, Chuck Berry would become famous for one of his records. I forget which one, but one of his records, I think it was it Roll Over Beethoven or something? No, it wasn't. It was Johnny B. Good, wasn't it? Johnny B. Good was included on that gold record that was sent into space, attached to one of the Voyager craft. It was sent into space for aliens to find out what we listen to on Earth, you know. And Chuck Berry was one that was picked. So, you know, he obviously had something. Then we had Gene Vincent. If it was Gene Vincent, an English fella, he was, wasn't he? Let me see. I can't quite remember. Yeah, Gene Vincent owed his original break to Elvis Presley. It could have been America, I don't know. I get confused. But he died in 1971 apparently. At the time this was made, Chuck Berry was still with us. The Everly brothers were still alive back then. Sam Cooke, he died. He got shot by a prostitute. Anyway, we'll get to him. Right, Everly brothers. Phil and Paul Everly. Yeah. You know, I've got most of their records on the singles, and they were excellent. They were brilliant. I really, really, really do like the Everly brothers. You know, I can listen to them all night and not get fed up. Really, really good. And I think we've looked at the artists in this, haven't we? We've got Gene Vincent. I'll just go through it once more. We've got Gene Vincent here. Don't know which one of them is actually Gene Vincent. There's a bloody about 5 of them there. Could be all him. No, they're not, are they? Chuck Berry, Everly Brothers, Sam Cooke. Right, the Everly Brothers. Yeah, well, Chuck Berry. We've got 1957 up to 1955 with Maybelline. So some of them are backdated a bit. So 55 to 57 we'll call it. Or 59. 64 even, wow. I'll tell you what they haven't put on here. I thought they would have put it on, but they haven't. My Ding-a-Ling. He was American. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Julie. I wasn't quite sure. Because, you know, I don't know, you know, the artists I'm discussing, guys. I know about some of them, not all of them. But yeah, we've got Chuck Berry there, and the, you know, 1964, yeah, was Never Can Tell. But they never put My Ding-a-Ling on this, did they? I wonder why. I think that came, well, they could have done, but they didn't. Gene Vincent, he was most popular for Bebopalula, wasn't he? He was a bit of a bopper guy, wasn't he? Bebopalula, she's my baby. Yeah, that one. Oh, lot of loving. Yeah. I'm not going to read the tracks out. There's no need. Yeah, we've got the Everly Brothers. 1957, they started off with Bye Bye Love. And in 1965, they did The Price of Love. But they went on a bit longer than that. They made a record in the 80s that was written by Paul McCartney called On the Wings of a Nightingale. I've never been able to get the single, but I know it existed. Here we go. Cliff Richard, The Shadows, Adam Faith and Billy Fury. These were all English. That we do know. So let's have a look at this sleeve. The inner gatefold jobby. This is also a double album. Most of them just about are. So we've got Cliff here. We've got The Shadows, Adam Faith and Billy Fury. At the end there, you can't quite see Billy. Let's move these over a bit. Do and gain a bit more space. There we go. You can see him now, but only just. Yeah, still don't really get a lot, do we? Come back. There we go. Right. Right, Cliff Richard. Right. I mean, it tells you all in here. I mean, you only have to read all that, look. Cliff Richard's career began... Cliff Richard's career, which began when he first made the charts with Move It in September 1958. Yeah, Move It will be on here, you can guarantee that. And... yeah, what can I say about Cliff Richard? I've got most of his records. He's still going, isn't he, Cliff Richard? He's like Father Christmas, comes out once a year, or at least he used to. The Shadows, yeah. They were originally called the Drifters, but they had to change their name. I'm not reading that, I know that, but it is in here. But I already know that, I've known it for years. The Shadows began their collective career in the winter of 1958, when, as the Drifters, they were selected to accompany the fast rising Cliff Richard on his tours. Yeah, so I'm not going to read all that. Be here all night reading all that. But the Shadows, they were great on their own, and you know, I reckon they would have made it even if they'd have had nothing to do with Cliff. That one's upside down, I think. Oh no, it's not. It's the right way. Even if they'd have had nothing to do with Cliff, they would have still made it in their own right. I think so. They first rose to fame on their own in 1960 with Apache. Is there anything later than that? Earlier than that? 1963, 1964. Yeah. Wonderful Land, that was their number one. Apache was number one as well. Probably a couple of others were, but I can't think offhand. The Rise and Fall of Flingle Bunt, I like that one. But we've got, you know, the Shadows actually just sang some songs as well. They actually sang some songs, but they're not on this album, but they did sing some. I've got some singles of Hank Marvin singing. Adam Faith. Adam Faith, he would appear in the 80s, wouldn't he, as Budgie? He appeared in the 80s as Budgie, didn't he? If I remember rightly. Adam Faith, yeah. He had a very sort of distinctive singing manner, didn't he? You know, Adam Faith, he was different to everybody else. And nobody else sang like him or sounded like him. And I do like him. I've got quite a few of his singles as well. You know, 1959, What Do You Want? 1963, We Are In Love, you know, did Poor Me, Someone Else's Baby, you know. They were three of the biggest hits he had. I don't know whether all these were hits, but yeah. I'll tell you what I've just noticed, looking at getting onto the Billy Fury. Billy Fury, he had a heart murmur, and he was told he had to tone his act down a bit, otherwise it would kill him. Otherwise he would have been the British Elvis Presley. There's no two ways about that. But he had to tone his act down, otherwise it was going to kill him. But he did Halfway to Paradise in 1961. Yeah, Colette in 1960. I'm just looking, I'd Never Find Another You. Not to be confused with The Seekers, it's not. Once Upon a Dream. There's one they haven't put on here and I can't think what it's called. Maybe Tomorrow. They haven't put Maybe Tomorrow on here. I thought they would have done, but they haven't. They haven't put Maybe Tomorrow on here. I thought that would have been on it. But that's Billy Fury, that's Cliff Richard, The Shadows, Billy Fury, Adam Faith, Billy Fury, sorry. And here we go, some more Americans. Del Shannon, Neil Sedaka, Paul Anka. Right, and like I say, these do represent good. Good evening, Estex. These do represent good buying value, because good buying sense, even because of what's in there. You know, there's a lot of music in there, and these can be had for very, very few pounds. These records, they're very cheap to get hold of. So we've got a picture of Del Shannon here, we've got Neil Sedaka here, we've got Paul Anka here, and we've got Dion here. Dion was the founder of Dion and the Belmonts, which later became just Dion. But Neil Sedaka, yeah, he was brilliant, him. These all were, I mean, all these were all great artists. I mean, and you know, just give you a quick look at, because you couldn't see him. There he is, Dion. I think he was called Dion DiMucci, wasn't he? Yeah, Dion DiMucci in New York. Yeah, yeah. Right, so yeah, you got Del Shannon. He kicks off with Runaway. We're not going to read all the tracks, there's no point. And he finishes with Handyman on this record. Although 1965, I think, was the oldest one on here by the look of this. Yeah, and that was Keep Searching. Has it got the Swiss Maid on here? Yes, it has. Little Town Flirt, Two Kinds of Teardrops, Two Silhouettes. Yeah. Let's just see what Jules is saying. We absolutely loved Runaway in this house, Andy. It's a cracking record, isn't it? Yeah. I might see if we've got it for Sunday for the karaoke. I should. I don't see why not. Be surprised if I haven't. Here's another one. This is here's Neil Sedaka. I Go Ape, Oh Carol, Stairway to Heaven. But you get all his best ones on, and Next Door to an Angel. Let's Go Steady Again, Alice in Wonder. You know, all his best ones are on there. I mean, if I wanted a Neil Sedaka album, they're the songs I would want on it. You know, that's exactly what you want, because all his best ones on. I'll read this one out. I Go Ape, Oh Carol, Stairway to Heaven, Calendar Girl, Little Devil, Happy Birthday Sweet 16, Breaking Up Is Hard to Do, Next Door to an Angel, Let's Go Steady Again, Alice in Wonderland. I mean, what more could you want, guys? What more could you want? All his best are on there. I mean, that's why I say they represent good buying sense. And you've got Paul Anka, all his best are on here as well. You know, Dion, Teenage in Love, which was Dion and the Belmonts. I Wonder Why, When Away, Run Round Sue, The Wanderer, yeah. You know, it tells you tracks 1 to 3 were with the Belmonts. Which was A Teenager in Love, I Wonder Why, and Why, Where or When. The rest of them were just him. But that's, you know, you can't go wrong, guys. I mean, they represent, you know, we've got another 3 volumes on these, another 3 videos on these to cover, because there's a lot of stuff in them. The Hollies, the Searchers, the Kinks, Manfred Mann were back over in the UK again. Now let's have a look at the pictures of the artist or artists. In this case, they're all artists. Oh, we've got the Hollies, and they got their name. They took their name from Buddy Holly, because the guy, I can't remember his name. What's his name? A Manchester group formed in 1962. A merger of the deltas and the dolphins proved the most durable of it maker. Oh, I'm not reading all that. But then again, guys, there's all backstories in here about the artist or artists that's on the records. The Hollies, the Searchers, we've got the Kinks, and we've got Manfred Mann. You know, and these represent, these represented a lot of the top artists that have ever put anything onto a vinyl record. And we've got Lola on here, yeah, we have right at the end. Well, there's two versions of Lola doing the rounds, guys. There's two versions of that. Let's just see what Julie's saying. Music in the 50s and 60s and the early 70s usually had a story. Yes. Well, just moving back to Neil Sedaka. Briefly, they did a program on the BBC called I think it was called The History of the Single. It was something to do with the vinyl single. The love of the single, I think it was something daft like that it was called. And Neil Sedaka actually said that. He said basically what it was. He says it was a story. He said what we did. He says it was we put a story to music. We put it in a sleeve. We wrapped a ribbon around it, and there you go. And that's pretty much it. There were stories. And in the 80s, they put the story to a video. Well, music videos. Believe it or not, music videos were around a lot longer than a lot of people think. In the 90s, the first music video, the very, very first music video, is actually the one regarded as the first music video is Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. That seems to be regarded as the first music video. But they were whether you can class them as videos or not, but there's still some footage from Top of the Pops knocking about from the 60s. Anyway, but yeah, we got the music video in the 1970s, the very first one. The very first accepted one is Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, which really was a music video. So anyway, you've got the Hollies, you've got the Searchers, Sweets for My Sweet, Sugar and Spice, Needles and Pins, Don't Throw You All Over. You couldn't want any more, could you? All the best ones. But going back to the Kinks, there's two copies of Lola doing the rounds, and there has been for a lot of years, because when it was released in 1970, I believe, yes, 1970, the BBC banned it because they used the words Coca-Cola. They used the word Coca-Cola because the song starts off, I met her in a pub down in Old Soho where you drink champagne and it tastes just like Coca-Cola. C-O-L-A, cola. But they changed it to Lola. They changed it to Cherry Cola. I met her in a pub down in Old Soho where you drink champagne. Tastes just like Cherry Cola. C-O-L-A, cola. Yeah, so it was changed. But the BBC had an habit of banning things. If they didn't like it, they banned it. Wait until I do my George Formby chat. Yeah, that's coming up in a few weeks. Wait till I do that. Yeah, he was the most prolific offender to the BBC. And then you've got Manfred Mann. You've got Manfred Mann in here as well. I mean, what more could you want? And all the good stuff again. It's why should we not sack Coho? The one in the middle, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Pretty Flamingo. Yeah, do what? Yeah, they're all there, aren't they? That's why I say you know, we looked at the artist, didn't we? Yeah. We looked at the pictures. But that's what I say, guys. Yeah, Otis Redding, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, Wilson Pickett. How about that, eh? Do you know something? That's really top, because you know it's. There we go. You got old Otis there, Aretha there, Ray Charles there, and Wilson Pickett there. Let's just let you have a quick look at Wilson. You can't really see him. There we go. There's Wilson Pickett there. And there's a backstory on all of the artists. I could sit here and read them all, but I'll be here for the next year. You know. But yes. Right, so Otis Redding, yeah, he appeared in 1964. Well, no, yes, about 1960. I'm just looking for the earliest. 1964, we'll say, because that's where just when he did it. That's where they're starting him from. He could have been a bit early. I could read it in there, but let you guys do all that. Give you something to do. We could call it homework. Aretha Franklin, you know, and you know you got all Otis Redding's good ones on here. You know, there's nothing on here that you wouldn't want to listen to. You know, the favourite one that he did on here that I like is Dock of the Bay. That's my favourite Otis Redding, and I could say that for everybody. We've got Aretha Franklin. She starts off with Respect in 67. 74, Until You Come Back to Me. Then we've got Ray Charles, 58 he was about, all the way up to 59, what I'd say, but he was around a lot longer than that. Because he was in the Blues Brothers. Oh, I nearly forgot Paul Wilson there, didn't I? In the Midnight Hour, yeah, Wilson Pickett. Mustang Sally, I'm just reading a couple. 1965 to 1971 we've got here. You know, but you can't argue, can you? I mean, you throw one of these on your record player, you're going to enjoy it, aren't you guys? I mean, they do make good buying. I keep saying that, but it happens to be a fact. They make good buying sense. Ike and Tina Turner, James Brown, the Monkees, the Beach Boys. Yeah. Right. So let's have a look at the artists or artiste. That's got some crumbs in it. Ike and Tina Turner, James Brown, the Monkees, and the Beach Boys. Got 5 people in so far. Right. Ike and Tina Turner. Well, they started off in the 50s, didn't they? Tina Turner. Tina Turner and Ike Turner. He was very abusive. He was horrible. He was a nasty piece of work. Ike Turner. Yeah, he was a very nasty piece of work. Tina Turner, she was legendary, weren't she? You know, I wonder if there's any. I wonder if there's any. I wonder if this is all Ike and Tina. I wonder if there's any Tina on her own on this. I've never checked. We'll see, because she was far better off than what she did when she was with Ike Turner, that's for sure. She was a legend, wasn't she? Still is. James Brown. Yeah, James Brown. I don't really know much about this guy, because I'm not really a James Brown fan, but I'll own up to it. And then we've got the Monkees and we've got the Beach Boys. The Monkees, they were accused of being fake. In the early years they were, but then they started to make their own stuff, which got rid of that sort of stigma sort of thing. Then you got the Beach Boys. Yeah, they were legends, especially Brian Wilson. They were legends, weren't they? So let's see what they're offering us, shall we? Because we're getting to the end of these now, and we're going to play a record in a minute. It's going to work out fine. A Fool in Love, yeah. It's all Come Together, that was Lennon and McCartney wrote that one. Come together right now over me. Dun, 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 dun. You know the one. So I Tina Turner. I've got one of their albums, but really I've got their greatest hits, and that's all you really need. You know, that's all you really need. Then we've got James Brown, and I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about James Brown. I will have to listen to James, because I don't know a lot. I'll be honest, guys. You know, I've heard some, but I don't know a lot. But he was around from 56 to 76. On here anyway, he might have been around a lot longer than that, obviously. Tina Turner, yeah, 1961, with It's Gonna Work Out Fine. And 1970, they did Proud Mary. 1973, they did Nutbush City Limits. They also did Proud Mary. The Monkees, Last Train to Clarksville, I'm a Believer. These were all pretty much fake. Alternate title. Alternate title. They had to change the title of that one because it was called, what was it called? Someone's Gonna Know, I can't remember. Someone's Gonna Know. Alternate title, I think it was called something about a prostitute from Liverpool. Should I just open the information might lay within. Let's have a quick look. Does it say anything? Alternate title. Will it tell us what it originally was? They were basically made as a TV group, weren't they? Never made to be serious, but they evolved. And it doesn't say. It doesn't say. I can't remember the name of it, but it wasn't that. That's why it's called alternate title. The title was changed. But yeah, this has got all the best ones on that you could want by the Monkees. The Beach Boys, well, we can't argue with that, can we? You know, everything on there is good. You know. Yeah, see, Betty got his credits for his music on here on this version. Surfing USA. Yeah, Betty Wilson, Jowl Music. Yeah, Jowl Music. Yeah. Yeah, because originally they nicked, like I said before, they nicked for Surfing USA. They nicked Sweet Little 16, which was written by Chuck Berry, and originally he didn't get any credit, and they wouldn't credit him, and they should have done. But later in years, he got the credit, and he's obviously credited on here, Berry, yeah, because he wrote. Only fair as well. He wrote the bloody music. You know, if you steal somebody's tune, then you should credit that person with on the record with that tune, because they wrote it. You know, that's not me slagging the Beach Boys off. I'd never do that. I thought they were fabulous, and I still do. But you know, they still should have said, "Listen, Chuck, we've used your tune. You know, we'll see. You know, we'll do you a sorter on the royalties," which they should have done. We'll do you a sorter on the royalties, and we'll credit your name on we'll credit you on the record. But they never did, and it took years for him to, because I think he went to court over it. I think he took him to court. If he didn't, he bloody should have done. But yeah, I do like the Beach Boys. Got lots of their stuff. Really, really top group. But like I say, you know, what I'm going to ask when I'm finished reading, which I will be in a minute. That's volume 9, by the way. We're on volume 10 now. This is a single. Is this a double? Is this a double or is it a single? Oh, it's a single, this one. This is the Rolling Stones. and it's both sides of the Rolling Stones. So yeah, some of these have got paper inside them, you know, clippings from the magazines. That one has, look. That's got something in it. There's fucking something in that. There it is. Fucking Captain Sensible. Who the fucking hell's Captain Sensible? See, I always thought these were made by Reader's Digest, but they're not. A lot of people, other people probably. So what have we got here? Tom Tom Club. Under the Boardwalk. Captain Sensible, really? So what's that doing in there? Why would it be there? Anyway, we'll chuck it back in anyway. I can't figure things out. Why couldn't I found a tenner or something? Right, so let's have a look at the Stones. Right, it's a gatefold, they all are. The Rolling Stones, guys, the Rolling Stones, there you go. This is volume 10, and you can't miss Mick Jagger. He's the one there with the big fat lips. Yeah. I heard he went out in the wind and he had to run in, he got battered by his lips. Anyway. Sorry guys. So that's the Rolling Stones, and we're going to have all the best ones in here, aren't we? Can't get no satisfaction. I mean, these started in, well, we've got 1960, these are all over the place, these 64, 65, 65, I can't say, but we've got all sorts here, haven't we? 60, you know, we've got, I'll read the track list out on here because there's only one artist, so I'll read it. It's the Rolling Stones, it's volume 10. I Can't Get No Satisfaction, Time Is On My Side, I'm a King Bee, You Better Move On, Down Home Girl, Long While, Just Wanted to Make Love to You, Jumping Jack Flash, that's a legend, that one, I like that one. Jumping Jack Flash. Honky Tonk Woman, Get Your Kicks Out of Route 66, Under the Boardwalk, Symphony, Sympathy for the Devil, Honest I Do, Heart of Stone, Walking the Dog, 19th Nervous Breakdown. Bear with me guys, I'm just going to go and have a pee. Yeah. I'm not putting you on mute, you shouldn't hear me. Always feels better when you've had a lag, doesn't it? Yeah, always feels better when you've had a lag. Yeah, when you've had a good pee. Oh. So what we'll do in a minute, we'll play our record that I got today. Right. So that's number 10, guys. The History of Rock, volume 10. We've got to the end of them. Right. Let's go back to you lot, or back to me rather. There we go. I'm wearing my new t-shirt tonight, guys. GDS. Yeah, right. Let's put this new record on I got today. I've got this, I'm going to play it fairly low though because young Tommy's in bed. So we're going to have it pretty low. we go. There we go. There we go, guys. So, we've got time for a bit more of a chat before we end. And this is a record I got today. I'm going to Knock on Your Door by Eddie Hodges. I wonder whatever happened to Eddie Hodges. He was a child actor, wasn't he? But I've never heard him as an adult actor, so I don't know what happened. Probably knocking about somewhere. It wasn't really... No, it wasn't. That produced these albums. It was Orbis Publications, I think. No, that's what I said. It wasn't Reader's Digest. A lot of people think it was. I even thought it was at one time. No, it wasn't. I already know that, Paul, thanks. It wasn't Reader's Digest that published them. It should tell us on it, shouldn't it, somewhere, who produced them. I mean, let's have a look. Published by Orbis Publishing, yeah. Yeah, Orbis, yeah. I know they weren't done by Reader's Digest. A lot of people thought they were, but I know they weren't. But, yeah, so... And that's it, guys. The History of Rock. The History of Rock, Part 1. You've got Part 2 to sit through next week. That's if you want to sit through Part 2. You know. Yeah, because we've done from 1 to 10 today. Tomorrow we're gonna do. Next week we're gonna do. Next Monday we're gonna do 11 to 20. That's got us from 1 to 10. Because we get another 3 videos out of those. And there's a lot more artists to explore. I mean, there really is, guys. You'd be surprised at what artists had actually appeared. You'd be surprised at what artists appeared on those History of Rock. I mean, it's that's one of the best. I'll go as far as to say, stick my neck out. I can turn this light off now. I don't need that on anymore. There we go. Still got a glare on my head. Anyway, the you know, I think they're one of the best, sort of record sets you can get, because they covered everybody. I mean, everybody who was rock and roll, everybody, they were all on there. You know, they're all on there. You know, the history of rock, it's all got to be there, and they can't not leave anybody out. You know. But yeah, there was 40 records in the collection as far as I'm aware. I've not seen anything over 40, so I'm assuming there's 40 records in the collection, and that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive that for one set to get 40 records in it. You know, that's 40 records. You know, but most of them are doubles. It's interesting to listen to Andy and remembering the history of music throughout the past. Absolutely. I mean, could you imagine, guys? You know, could you imagine what a grey, dismal, horrible world it would be without music in it? I mean, it wouldn't be right, would it? You know. You know, it'd be like watching colour television in black and white. You know what the colours are, but you just see in black and white. I mean, it's, you know, it's the same with talking. Talking is basically singing without music, isn't it? It is. Come on, guys, it is. Talking is basically singing without music. You're basically talking, you know, without a tune. You know, you just, like I'm doing now. You know, there's no tune to what I'm saying. But you know, and that's what music would be. That's what it'd be like if there was no music. You know, because back in early days, before musical instruments and that kind of thing, singing was talking, but it was rhymed. You know, original singers were actually people that spoke rhymes. Wasn't what we know it as today. You know, we've just had a record on and a lad singing. You know, now back in the dark ages, in medieval times, he would have spoke that. You know, he would have spoke that. He wouldn't have sang it, but it would have been in rhyme and it would have been loved. And that's what it's all about. You know, music, it exists because it has to. Because the world would be a bloody horrible place without a bit of a tune to keep us going, wouldn't it? Because let's face it, guys, we all like a tune in our life. So, you know, next, like I say, next week we've got the what do you call it? Next week. There's no Laura here tonight, as you can see. No Laura tonight. She's coming back later over to see me, but I'll have finished the stream by then. But yeah, I just think I just think that getting back to these records, I think they do represent good value for money. I mean, I'm on the third Elvis one out of that collection. The first one I don't know where it went. The second one I lent to Kelly over the road. That was the last I've seen of it. So I bought another one to complete the collection. Hello, Mark, Bernie, and everybody else at the Mark and Bernie household. Yeah, good evening to everybody in Brum, even. And yeah, I don't know if you've been watching, Mark, but you've missed the meat of it. But yeah, it's what we've been doing. We've been going through the first 10. It was going to be the first 20, but we'd be here all night doing that. And it's easier to condense it. It's easier to turn it into 4 videos than, you know. I mean, music, it gets you through, doesn't it? It does. My phone's going dim. Let's turn that back up. There we go. Right. Hi Andy, hope you're okay. I'm okay, thanks Mr. Paul. 1962 Penny. Yeah, I'm alright, thanks. Music gets us through the rubbish times, or at least helps us get out of it, the emotions. That is what I think sometimes. That's absolutely true. I mean, you know, you can put something on and you can think, oh great, I'm going there. I'm going to put that on and I'm going to go there for the next half hour or 20 minutes or whatever, and you can sing to it, and that's what it was made for. I mean, people who buy records and stick them on the shelves, these daft idiot audiophiles who buy records just to stick them on the shelf and never fucking play them. They do my heads in, guys. They really do. They make my piss boil. They do, honestly, they make me piss boil. Them people who buy records and just stick them on a shelf and never play them. What's the point? If you're not going to play the bloody records, don't buy them. Leave them out there in the wild for somebody that's going to buy them and play them. Every record I own at some point will get played. Every last one of them they've all probably been played more than once, but they'll all go through they'll all go through the mill again. They'll all get played again at some point, definitely. Because that's why I bought them. I mean, I'm not going to start slagging people off. I watch a guy on YouTube, a guy called Andrew. He's got a channel called Parlogram Auctions. And he's very intelligent. He knows what he's on about, and he's very musically knowledgeable. Mainly on the Beatles. But, he's probably got about 10 or 15 of each album. And do you really need that many copies? I mean, we're usually behind him, when he's talking about the Beatles, he's normally got about 5 or 6 copies of Sgt. Pepper sat there behind him. Do you really need? You don't. You only need 1 copy of each record. And when it comes to the Beatles, you only need 1 copy of each of their studio albums. The original ones. The ones that were actually made in the 60s, not the ones that were reissued in the 70s, because they tended to sound a bit crap. The 70s versions. Depends on what mix they get them off. I mean, depends on what tape they use, what mix they've used. But as far as I'm concerned, with any record, the definitive copy is the original and the most purest that the artist brought them out. Like for example, Please Please Me by the Beatles, every version of it sounds different. But the nicest sounding, I think, is the original. Because that was how it was meant to sound. That was how it was designed to sound. And but you don't really need one of each. I had a couple of duplicates the other week, and I sent them off to my friend Mark, because I know he'd enjoy them. Okay, they were a bit battered, but they were still certainly playable. But at the end of the day, guys, yeah, I buy my records to play them. I don't buy my records to display them, or to just say to my friends, look how many I've got. And the collection's still growing. The collection is still growing. I've just purchased a Foster and Allen. I've just purchased a Foster and Allen to replace a one that I've got, which is a bit rough. It's a bit rough because it's been played. So I found another copy of it, so I've replaced it. The Beatles Blue album, which I've got up there, the 60s, 67 to 70. Mine's a bit rough, so I've replaced it. I'm waiting for another one coming, because I've replaced it because it's a bit rough. I want a nicer one. There's a Let It Be I'm going to check out. I'm just bidding on a Let It Be tonight, because my Let It Be is a bit rough. If you want my cast-offs, Matt, let me know. you're more than welcome to them. If you want my cast-offs, you're more than welcome to them. Chuck them in the post for you. You know, but if you want them, you're more than welcome. Let me just have a look. eBay. I bet I've been outbid. I've probably been outbid, because that's what happens with me when I. Yeah, I got outbid. Submit bid. How long has he got left to run? Ends in 7 minutes. Whew. Yeah, it's up to 26 quid. I'm not paying that. I'm not going any higher. It's up to 26 quid. I think that's a bit too dear, because it doesn't show. They don't show you the condition of the vinyl. It could be scratched to fuck. I mean, what they say is condition wise. You know, yeah. This is in a charity shop. It's in an art foundation shop. You cannot run the risk. You just can't run the risk of paying that kind of money in an from an art foundation shop. Yeah, you just can't. Please be aware if purchasing second. Yeah. In other words, if it's scratched a foot, you're tough. We've got your fucking money. No, I think we'll leave that where it is. We'll leave that where it is. Whoever's paying 26 quid. Whoever's paying 26 quid, they can pay 26 quid. Because I would rather, to be honest with you guys, I would rather pay a bit more where I can see the condition of the record and know that the record looks good. I mean, like Andrew from Parlogram was saying, you can tell. Let's come back to you guys. Like Andrew from Parlogram was saying, you know, it's very risky when you're buying records online. It is, because I bought Dire Straits Brothers in Arms as a replacement for mine, but it turns out it was in worse nick than the one I've got. Yeah, they do. You know, and really, they're not worth the money that people are asking. I mean, yeah, people think their old shit's worth money. That's the problem. You know. Yeah. This came from Mark. Thank you, Mark and Bernie. Yeah, it's good, that, innit? Genius. Yeah. Could have put fucking sexy genius. Yeah. Never mind. Anyway, guys. Yeah. But yeah. Some Beatles albums go for. Yeah, they do. I mean, what we can do, we can type in here, guys. If we go back to eBay and we type in Beatles. Let's type in Beatles. There we go. Beatles vinyl. Right. There's 4 albums there. Are they singles? No, they're singles. And they want £8. There's actually a job lot, actually. Yeah, there's actually quite a few there. How many is there? That's probably worth the money, to be honest. They're probably worth the money. You've got. I can't read them. Look at how my eyes are not. My eyes are not playing ball today. We Can Work It Out. Help. Ballad of John and Yoko. Long Tall Sally. Hang on. Get Back. They've all got a decent B-side as well. Yellow Submarine. Let It Be. Oh No, Hello Goodbye. Twist and Shout. I've already got that. Twist and Shouted, that's an EP, there's 4 on that. Yeah, there's 4 on that, I've got that. Long Tall Sally, mono, yeah. So they're probably, you know, there's a good few records there. And they're looking pretty fat. They're not original. I mean, that one there, 1967, Hello Goodbye. That's out of the 1970s box set. And that's out of a box set as well, because you can tell. You look at a record from the 60s, and it has a ridge on it. It has like a ridge on it, like a beveled gear wheel on it. And the reason why they do that was so that the records could play on a changer without slipping. They gripped each other, and that's why they were made the way they are. The White Album. The White Album, $3.99 bids. That's starting bids. I've already got the White Album, but that's the starting bid. They want a damn sight more for it. Now, if you start throwing bids at that, you'll notice what condition's the record. It looks alright. Has it got a number on the sleeve? Mine hasn't, I know that. Yeah, this one's got a number on the sleeve. I can't read what the number is there. Let's go to a bigger picture. See if we can read the number on the sleeve. Right, that's number 250580. So that's a numbered one. Mine's not a numbered one. So, I mean, if the record's in good condition, then, you know, you've got it sorted. There's no bids on it. And how long's it got to go? I bet it's still got a week to go. It will have. They always do. And it's a private auction, which means ends the 9th of December. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it'll. I've just threw a tenner at that, but I won't get it for that. That I do know it'll go. That'll go for way more. But I threw a tenner at it just to get them going. You know. But yeah, I won't go any higher than that. With the Beatles, £14, and the cover don't look too bad. I'm trying to find a Please Please Me with no LP in it, because I want the cover. That's someone the record. I mean, when you look at it, they want £14, and you want to see the state of the record. It looks like Torval and Dean have been skating on it, and they want £14. I mean, what sort of drugs do these people actually take? And can I get hold of any? There's one there, a very rough cover, and some of them, they have a rough cover. The LP's not bad. I mean, that LP, yeah, that's a bit of a terrible one and all. But they want £21 for that one. You know what I mean? £5 starting bid and £21 buying now. What sort of people? What sort of world do these people live in? Let It Be, the Beatles record, 2012. Yeah, that'd be a nice record. That's a US one. That's no good. You'd never get it, would you? UK only. I mean, it just shows you the sort of things, the sort of money. Hard Day's Night. Rare. Has he got the sleeve? I don't think there's no sleeve. The record looks okay. The record looks alright. Has it got a sleeve with it though? Yeah, it has. It's got a sleeve with it. The record looks alright. 18 quid, but would you really pay 18 quid? You know, you wouldn't, would you? Because you want to see. Oh no, looking at the surface, it's been well played. You can see white rings in the vinyl. that'll be noisy as fuck. I mean, that's what you have to look for. You have to consider when you're buying a record. Let's come back to you guys. You know, you have to consider when you're buying a record, there's a few things you have to consider. You have to consider the condition, and conditions everything. I mean, I don't care about what the sleeve looks like. I'm not going to play the sleeve. The listening pleasure is going to be got when I play the record. So if I come across a record, it's got a manky sleeve, bit of a shit sleeve, but the record inside is mint, I'll buy the record. And I'll think about the sleeve later. But, you know, when all said and done, it's, you know, just because it's a Beatles record doesn't make it worth a fortune, guys. It doesn't, honestly. I mean, there are some records that are worth a lot of money. I mean, if you get a gold and black, and I don't mean a yellow and black. You get a gold and black Parlophone copy of Please Please Me in stereo. You know, they're like a 5-figure sum. You know, you can put your own price on it pretty much. You really can, if it's an authentic 1963 pressing, because of the fact in 1963 the EMI changed the label from the gold and black to the yellow and black, and the one I've got's a yellow and black, and believe it or not, the mono one is actually not as valuable as the stereo version. The stereo version's worth more because there was more mono versions than what there was stereo versions, because although the Beatles were released in both stereo and mono, there was more mono made. Because what were people going to do with them? They were bought by teenagers. The teenager go to the record shop, give them their whatever 1 or 2D, whatever the record costs. Pay for their record. Come back, run upstairs, chuck it on a fucking ratty old dance set. Well, it would have been a relatively new dance set then, wouldn't it? Chuck it on a cheap dance set and play the hell out of it. You know, and that's why they only had to be mono. Stereo was generally reserved for people that were into classical music. But the Beatles, all the albums by the Beatles were available as stereo or mono copies. All the ones I've got, up until the mid-60s, because even Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was available as mono. I think they got to a point where they would just released everything as stereo after that. But up until that point at least, you could still, from 63 to 67, you could get the Beatles in mono and in stereo. Do like the new 180 gram vinyl though. Well, 180 gram vinyl has been out for quite a long time, you know. It's been out a lot longer than you think. 180 gram, there was a company called Nimbus, and it weren't the company who made the broomstick, who made Harry Potter's fucking broom in Harry Potter. There was a company called Nimbus, and they made some records especially for Hi-Fi magazine. You had to be a Hi-Fi magazine subscriber to get them, and they were on 180 gram Japanese super vinyl, and the records that they made were supposed to sound absolutely excellent. I've never heard one, and believe it or not, I had some here and I sold them, but I didn't realise what I had. I didn't know what I had. it took an Hell's Angel record dealer at a record fair I took part in. That was organised by a friend of mine. And he went through my collection that I had with me, my stocker that I had with me. He said he put his ass on my table, and he said, "Do you mind if I have a look through your stock?" I said, "No, go ahead." So anyway, he was looking through, and he pulled these records out. It was 4 LPs he pulled out. I think it was 4 LPs he pulled out. It was either 2 or 4. Can't remember now. I think it was 2. I think it was 2 or 4. Anyway, he paid me about 400 quid for all these records, and he was looking at them, and he was looking at the artwork that came with them, if there was any, which there was. He was looking at the sleeves, he was looking at the records. I mean, he knew what he was doing, he knew it. Anyway, and he pulled out this wallet. How the fuck he managed to fold that over, I don't know. But he pulled out this wallet full of money and pulled out these banknotes, and he put them on the table. He says, "I'll take it, that'll pay for them." So I just looked at him and says, "Yeah." And there was 400 quid or thereabouts, and I paid a tenner for the whole crate that they were in. So yeah, I was happy with that, because I made £190 profit. So I was quite pleased with that. So yeah, £390 profit. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that. I didn't have to sell another record. I weren't bothered if I sold any more. That covered me day. And he went right through me stock that was with me. And I says to him, I says, "I've got more at home, but I forgot to give him my bloody address, otherwise I would have had him here. I would have had him here to come and go through what was here. But, I've got another buyer called Harry, who if I get really nice stuff, I phone Harry. But what I don't do, guys, and what I won't do, right, I won't say to somebody, do you want to come and buy my collection? Do you want to come and buy these records I've got? But somebody else has already picked through them, like that guy did with me with them. He sold all the good stuff to someone else, all the really, really nice stuff, and then thought he was going to get 40 quid out of me for them. He got a tenner. I said to him, I said, "You can have a tenner and you'll like it." I mean, sometimes you've got to be tough with people. You've got to tell them sometimes. As far as I was concerned, he wanted to offload the crap that he thought was crap on me. But I like everything I got from him, and I didn't want to give him any more because of what, he might have got 20 quid out of me if he hadn't told me that. There was no way on this planet I was ever going to give him 40. I wouldn't have done that because they're not worth it for that. I suppose if you really want them, they are, but to me they weren't worth it because I didn't really care whether I had them or not. So, but if he'd have said to me, I've got these records, do you want to give us 40 quid? I would have said, "Well, I'll give you 20. But he didn't. He says, "I had a load, and these are what I've got left." I said, "Well, why didn't you come with the other ones?" I said, "I've got a nice big fat wallet in there." I said, I would have bought them off you. I said, I would have gone through them. I said, I would have given you good prices. I would have bought them. I said, I would have bought this lot as well. I says, but given that you come back here with what you believe is rubbish and unsellable, and you want 40 quid, I said, basically, no, you're getting a tenner. He said, well, could you not give me 20? I said, no. I said, you're getting 10. I said, either that or leave them in the boot of your car, drive round with the fuckers. I said, I don't want them that badly. So he hummed and hard and fucking stood there. We were fuck it. He says, I'm not driving round with them in the boot of my car. He said, give us a tenner. So I gave him a tenner for him. I lowballed him, of course I did. Because to replace the Elvis Presley one that went missing, Alan Kelly, to replace that cost me about a £5. I paid about a £5 for the replacement. But it was worth paying because it meant that I got the record back. It it meant that the record was back in my collection. These are all the wrong way around. These are all the wrong way around because yeah, these are all the wrong way around. Of course they are, because number 1 is at the back. Number 1's at the back, so it should have gone 1. Yeah, it should be that way around. So when I put them back on the bookcase, on the record case, well, bookcase, put them that way. Put them that way. Oh no, that's number 7 now. Now they're out of order. 7, 8, 9, 10, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 and 1. That's right. And then we're 6. Seven, 8, 9, 10. That's it. They're ready. They're in the right order. Now I'll go back onto the bookcase where they live. But basically, guys, you know, you've got to be careful. A lot of people these days, they want shit. They want horse shit. They want good money for horse shit. I mean, 80 gram vinyl's been around for a long time. I've just bought one actually. I've just bought one, and it's probably the most expensive record I've ever bought. And including postage, it cost me about 30 quid. Around about that region. And that was for Queen's Greatest Hits and Queen's Greatest Hits 2. And believe you me, guys, just because it's done on 180 gram vinyl doesn't make it sound any better. I don't think it's any better than the CD copy I've got. I don't think it's any better than the album, which I haven't heard the original. But I don't think it's any better. You know, in fact, to be honest, they make a lot out of 180 gram vinyl. Yeah, it's thicker, it weighs more, but just because of that fact, it doesn't mean to say that music sounds better. You know, because a lot of times it doesn't, and I'm not the only person to say that. I mean, but you can't really. I mean, it was a brand new album. In all honesty, it was a brand new album, and it told you on the front before I peeled the cellophane off that it was remastered at Abbey Road. Well, we know Abbey Road hasn't been the best over the last fucking 20 years for remastering things, so that tells you. I mean, Abbey Road's only famous because the Beatles recorded there. Otherwise, Abbey Road would be just a footnote like everything else is. It's only famous because the Beatles recorded there. There's nothing else special about it, as far as I'm aware. But people tend to jump when they see Abbey Road written on it. Well, I don't. I bought it because I wanted the album. And I thought, well, it's got to sound decently good. But there's a bit of noise on it here and there, which, you know, new records can be like that. You know, new records can be like that. They can have dirt on them that you can't see, but when you put it through an ultrasonic cleaner, I'll get round to it and put it through my ultrasonic cleaner, and I'll play it after that and see how it sounds. But, I mean, it doesn't sound terribly bad. Don't get me wrong, guys, it's not horrible. but I don't think it's as sharp as I think it should be. I think it's a bit muddy, if anything. It's not as sharp as I think it should be. I certainly prefer the sound of Queen's Greatest Hits 1, believe it or not. But 180 gram vinyl, yeah, it's nice thick vinyl, but you can't trust everything that's recorded onto it, that's pressed onto it. You can't, guys. You know, I've got, what do you call it, I think I've got a few 180 grams knocking about, because I've got some really fucking heavy records. I mean, I've got some real heavy stuff. You know, it weighs a bloody ton, some of it. You lift it, you think, fuck me, that's as heavy as the turntable I'm going to put it on. I don't mean the actual full machine, I mean the platter. If you fucking, I bet the turntable platter doesn't weigh that. Weighs more than the mat. You know, but yeah, 180 gram. Yeah, do your research before you buy it, guys. But yeah, you know, it is the right ones to have. You know, if you're going to collect expensive records, then you want the best possible you can get. Which is not always 180 gram vinyl, but that's a good starting point. You know, that's a good starting point, guys. How many's left in? Because I'll be going soon. We've got 6 people in. I'll be doing my research for... Sorry, got to go now, Andy. Appointments tomorrow, take care. And good night all. Yeah, you take care, Julie. Thanks for coming in, honey. And it's always a pleasure. You know that. You know, how come you haven't come up on the other chat? Show hide. I don't want to hide it, I want to show it. There we go. Sorry about that. I must have caught a button somewhere. Yeah. Sorry I got to go, Andy. Appointment. No worry, Julie. You don't apologise, honey. You just say good night, blow me a kiss, and I'll see you on Wednesday night, honey. Along, if you can make it, that is. I'll see you all on Wednesday night over in the workshop. But we're doing a workshop video tomorrow, but it's going to be recorded because I'm going to be working on Matthew's radiogram chassis. We're going to we need to put a 270 ohm resistor in, and we need to put the outputs in, switch it on and see what happens. That's all I can do. I'm going to double check everything and make sure that we're right, But, you all take it easy, guys. I'm going to get going now. I'm going to follow Julie's lead, and I'm going to take a powder as well and go, because there's things that I need to do. Get a drink is one of them. Anyway, listen, guys, you all take it easy. Thank you very much for coming in. It's always a pleasure. And remember, like all my other channels, there'll never be a members club. You'll never need to join a club or a society or do secret handshakes or anything to get into here. You only have to come in, and that's all we want. You don't have to give me anything, do anything, just come in, be civil, enjoy the chat, take part in it if you want, and that's it. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, buy me a coffee if you want to, and you all take care. You all stay safe, look after you and yours, and a happy new year to everybody, and I will speak to you all from the workshop on Wednesday. Well, it'll be from in here, but it'll be a workshop video. You know the draw, you know the script, you know the skizzer, anyway, and all that lot. You all take it easy, guys, and thank you very much as usual. And take care, Andy. I'm not blowing you a kiss. Oh no, you're exempt. No. All you guys on here, you don't have to blow me a kiss. It's only the women that have to blow me a kiss. Yeah, the women blow me a kiss. You guys don't have to. No. You all take it easy, guys and girls. And I'll be back Wednesday with a workshop vid. Thank you very much. You all take care. Bye for now, guys.